So, how many bedrooms is your place?
We've got two bedrooms, one office, and
Okay.
one lounge. We're middle class. We pay $320 a month in rent for something that's 100 square meters.
So today we are heading over to the beautiful country, Morocco, with my buddy Michael Roberts. Michael and I did a
Salam
podcast.
alaikum. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
Michael, thanks for doing this again, man. It's great to see you. You're looking good,
Same
buddy.
here. Thank you. You too. I
So,
like the hat.
yeah, man. Hey, I got this in Mexico, and it's one of those hats that I bought for practically nothing. I mean, I like 3, $4. I went into the
Right.
neighborhood of and bought one of the real cheap hats. So I like to wear it. It's a fun hat to wear. So you're in Marrakesh, and Marrakesh
Yeah.
is this really special, incredible city. Well, just tell us a little bit for the viewers, Michael, who you are and how you landed, where you're from, how you landed in Morocco, how you chose Marrakesh, and what you do. A lot of people are always interested in what people are doing too out there
Right.
as far as like work. So give us a little backstory on you.
Started off my first career as a language teacher, and I traveled quite a bit. I lived in Poland, Turkey, a spell in the US, Tanzania, Egypt, Senegal. And in Senegal, I started my second career as I opened up a school teaching English and also started a second career as a translator. And when my wife is English, so when we came the time to leave Senegal, Dakar, we looked at the world map. We had some friends who'd been to Morocco. We'd had a very bad experience in Cairo because it was really intense and quite difficult and very quite intolerant, must be said.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a whole geopolitical context to that we won't get into, but we didn't really feel initially like going to another quote Arab country,
Mhm.
and nonetheless, we had some friends in Dakar, some very good friends who'd been to Morocco and in particular Marrakesh, and they said, "No, Morocco's a great country. It's got a lot of culture, it's got a lot of history, it's got different cities, which." When you live in Dakar in Senegal, Dakar is just the only town pretty much. The rest of the country is a bit of a backwater, whereas Morocco is quite, it's got the oldest university in the world in Fez. It's about 20 years older than Oxford, so it is really, literally one of the oldest university in the world. There's Fez. There's Rabat, there's Casa, there's Marrakesh. Those are the imperial cities. Well, Casa is not an imperial city, but there's also Tangier, which is well-known international city, and there's Agadir. So there's half a dozen cities with about 1 million people living in them, and it offers a lot of diversity. So we chose Marrakesh for two main reasons. Mostly when we came to Marrakesh, we were English teachers, my wife and I, and we had opened our own business in Dakar. And we came to Marrakesh because there was no British council based in Marrakesh. So for us, we saw that as an opportunity. And the other reason is the connections, the flights. The flights are just absolutely amazing. The first Christmas, well, my wife, my child, and I, we did a triangular to go see her parents in the UK and then my parents in France. and flew back here, and it cost us the three tickets cost us just like 100 euros, roughly $100
Yeah.
for those three flights per person. And it's still, though you can still get those prices if you book like 2, 3 months in advance. You can get
Mhm.
really, really cheap flights from Marrakesh to pretty much anywhere
Mhm.
in Western Europe. So that those are the two main reasons why we're here. The fact there was no British Council and the connections.
So, okay, so let before we dive into like visa and the costs, one thing quickly, what is that the old you mentioned an old university, the oldest university in
Yeah,
Fez? What's the name of
uh,
that?
that would be Al Ahawain, if I pronounce that correctly. But
El
it's the
Hawaii.
Fez, yeah, Fez University. It was founded by a woman.
Okay, cool.
Just goes to show, that these images that we have about the Muslim countries being putting women down is they are not all there's the caricature and the stereotypes, and then there's reality.
And then there is reality. And you mentioned too that they're offering a public health care program
Yeah,
now. Does that mean that anybody who is interested in moving to Morocco can get on to that program and access that public health care system
anybody with a residence card.
with a residence card? Okay, and
Yeah,
we
they're
get into
the
that.
visas. Yeah, visas are for tourists. You get a 90-day visa automatically for most citizens. Most, Europeans, North Americans, I think, get an automatic visa, 90-day. There's some one from time to time you hear of somebody who managed to prolong it, but I've heard of two cases in 14 years, so it's extremely rare. Some people just hop in for 90 days and then hop out for a few days and then come back in
Come
with
back.
another 90. I
Yeah.
don't recommend that because legally, if you're staying more than 168 days in the country, you might become liable for taxes. They're not applying it. They haven't applied it. They could at any time.
Hmm.
So if you and I mean, if you're going to come here to settle, I think it's only fair that you actually, sort yourself out and become.
Hmm. Oh, well, let's dive into that a little bit further. So if you get a visa, and that's primarily in Morocco for tourists, so you can stay up to 90 days. But if you
Yes,
want to stay longer, if you're interested in retiring and moving there, tell us a little bit about these permits, these resident permits
right.
Morocco offers. Is there a retirement permit, and are there any
Yeah.
income requirements that people have to meet to be
Yeah.
eligible to move there?
So I've just renewed the residence permit for my son and my wife, and we were going yay because it can be a bit stressful in our case because we're a company, and I just lost my own residence permit, and now I'm going to have to go through it again. So I know I know it pretty well. Officially, so the conditions are the same from one. The country is divided into prefectures, a bit like Japan. They're not exactly regions, but they're different prefectures, and within each prefecture, or wilaya as they're called, there's a department for foreigners, and they will have a piece of paper for each of the 6 or 7 categories. Now, I've heard there are actually 17 categories from somebody, but nobody's. It's a bit nebulous. But the 4 or 5 main categories are: you can come in on a student. You can claim a student residency. You can claim a retiree residency. You can claim an investor's, a company owner, which is my case, company owner, or real estate ownership.
Okay,
And for each of these, the requirements are different.
sure.
And I have to. to say this disclaimer here that whatever information I give here, I cannot be held liable for because you really need to go to the Department of Foreigners at the Wilaya and get that slip of paper from
Sure.
them.
Yeah.
But in terms of finance, when it comes and there's also one for people who don't have any work or who people who are sans profession, which is kind of like no profession, jobless.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Um, but I know it's a bit surreal. But basically, jobless or retiree, you need to prove that you have 150,000 dirhams on your account, which is equivalent to 15,000 US dollars, 15,000 euros, and about 12.3 thousand pounds, something like that. 150,000 dirhams, Moroccan dirhams.
Okay.
And that you do that if when you come, you open up what's called a convertible account. It's a terrible misnomer because you can't convert. It's basically for people who come to Morocco because the Moroccan dirham is not convertible. You can't take any Moroccan. I mean, you have an allowance of like 2,000 dirhams, roughly equivalent to 200 US dollars that you can take back out of the country. But basically, the money that you bring in, you can't take out. There is one notable exception if you open a company. And I think if you buy property, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
Hmm.
But if you come as a retiree, no, I mean, I don't think you can take the money back out again. But
Hmm.
you open what they call a convertible account, which is an account that is designed to receive foreign currency, and that you can then convert that money into Moroccan dirhams.
Okay.
And when you have in that account, you must show that you have, if you're retiring or if you're, as I think also a student, or if you have no occupation, you need to prove that you have that much money. And on that basis, you can get a residence permit. With the residence permit, you can open a local account, but you can't open a local account without the residence permit.
Okay. So how long does the resident permit last once you obtain it?
Ah, they apply the rule of reciprocity. For example, I know of the cases of French people and British citizens. A French person applying for a visa will get 1 year of the first time, then the second year, 1 year again, and so on for 5 years. And after 5 years, they can apply for a 5-year visa.
Every time, every year, do you have to reapply and
Well,
show
I'm
that you have that 15,000 in the account? Does it still
yes,
have to be at 15,000 every year?
yes,
Interesting. Okay. So you can't
yeah.
spend any of it.
Well, no, I mean, 150,000 uh, is going to last you a year. But they want to see that you're not destitute. I
Sure.
mean, it's something that's going to be applied anywhere around the world. They don't want to give residence permit to people who are destitute.
Is there any income requirement per month that you need to show, or is it just the
Not to my
balance?
knowledge.
So rentals for the viewers looking to move there, considering moving there, what can you find rentals for these days in Marrakesh? Can and also, Michael, can you give us an idea where other retirees and expats are moving to in Morocco? And
Well, it's a language-based thing. As it might be surprising, but Germans like to retire around Agadir. Spaniards like to retire in northern Morocco, where Spanish is much more widely spoken.
Mhm.
Um, then there are also issues of medical care. As I mentioned, if you're a resident, you're entitled to basic medical care very quickly. The doctor's visits will be anything from $15 to $20. You ask the doctor to fill in a piece of paper, and you will get 10 to 100, 10 to 15 back out of this. Uh, you get about 40% back, reimbursed,
I see.
of what you paid when you're on the national health plan.
Okay.
Going back to your question about where, I mean, so healthcare is going to be an issue if you're outside. Marrakesh is okay now if you've got the cash to pay. You've got some pretty good clinics, some public, some private. I would definitely stay away from the accidents and emergency department in the public hospitals. Um, but the for the rest in Marrakesh, it's pretty good. Otherwise, Casablanca, Rabat have the best hospitals. You get
Hmm.
pretty much world class.
Well, let's start with the rentals. So, what can you find let's start in Marrakesh. Just what can you find?
Right.
What do rentals start for in Marrakesh?
Well, I'm going to talk about, I suppose, normal Marrakesh, because obviously when you have, people come here from around the world. You had the Yves Saint Laurent who settled here, so you have some celebrities who've got massive villas, but say middle class, we're middle class. We pay $320 a month in rent for something that's 100 square meters. That's
Wow.
about 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
good space.
yeah, and it's got a nice courtyard. It's a flat in a building. If you wanted a uh, villa would be about, ooh, I would say $700, $800. Obviously, you can pay a lot more and get something, luxurious, but that would be the going rate for a villa, around $700 to $800. That's in Marrakesh.
Okay.
Uh, when it comes to Casablanca, I think you could double those numbers.
Okay. So, how many bedrooms is your place?
We've got two bedrooms, one office, and
Okay.
one lounge.
Nice. For the retiree or the expat who's solo and heading out there saying, I want to go live in Morocco. It sounds to me like if you're paying 320, the one bedrooms have to start, or even I don't know if there are any
Yeah,
studios.
they don't really exist, you see. That's the thing. They don't
Okay.
really. There are some studios, but they're kind of rare. You're looking minimum two bedroom.
Okay.
Two bedroom. Yeah, you could find stuff at 200 a month in Marrakesh.
Okay.
But Casablanca, I don't think you can find any. I mean, obviously there are hovels, but
Yeah.
anything that's decent and middle class is going to set you back. I don't think you can find anything for less than four or five. Same in Rabat and Tangier.
Okay, cool. Before we dive in and just like cover the costs per month on utilities, groceries, and the rest, because you live in Marrakesh, Marrakesh is a very special city
Yeah,
on this planet. Tell us a little bit about Marrakesh and what makes Morocco and Marrakesh so unique and so interesting to so many people that are exploring the possibility of living or retiring there.
Marrakesh is a city, I think, as a city is particularly attractive because it is the city center is historic. It's old. It's 1,000 years. It's almost 1,000 years old. It will be, I think, in another 20 years. It will have 1,000 years of recorded history, and it's very. You can't drive through it, so you have to, put your sneakers on and start walking around. And it is still, after 14 years, still magical walking. It's an intense experience. Walking through the souks, intense is the wrong word. I mean, it's a magical experience still walking
Mhm.
around through the souks, and they've done a good job of restoring certain buildings. There's more museums, but no, I mean, it is really an experience. I've walked through the
Mhm.
souks of Cairo. It's depressing, or it was when I lived there. I've walked through the souks of Istanbul, which are very lovely. I mean, I had a great time in Istanbul. But the Medina of Marrakesh, the old town Marrakesh, is a self-enclosed environment that you can pop in, pop out, and really enjoy and enjoy. It is memorable. I think it's one of those bucket list things.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a special place, and
Mm,
I love Morocco. I I I think it was back in 2001 when I was there. I can't I think it's
right.
around that time. But anyway, I was in Cadiz, Spain, and I took a ferry from Cadiz over to Tangier, and then I jumped on this train. I shared
Yeah.
with you, I think last time we had this discussion.
Yeah.
It took like 15 hours to get
Hours,
there.
yeah. Now it takes 2 hours and
It's
10 minutes from Tangiers to Casablanca. I know
it,
it's I took that train too. It is really
it
difficult.
was really a wild but fun terrific
That's
experience at the time for me. And
yeah,
then when I landed in Marrakesh, I was just in awe. And then that
the main square.
the main square, they had
Yes,
so much activity going on, and
I
there were
know.
like
It is
cobra snakes
the
dancing, and guys,
Barbary monkeys and the women
every
doing the henna and the storytellers and the fake boxers, and it
yeah,
is
the face.
that's the thing about Marrakesh. It is an amazing. I mean, for people who live in North America, it's different. But if you're in Europe and you want to get away for a weekend, for 3 hours, a 3 hour flight, you can't find anything more exotic.
No,
Or, I
that's
mean, yeah, as I said, there's Cairo, there's Tunisia, there's
yes,
Turkey. They will be as exotic, but in the case of Cairo, they certainly won't be as pleasant.
yeah.
And living in Marrakesh, coming back to what you were saying about living in Marrakesh, it's a garden city.
Mhm.
Yes, the country is very dry, but they've over thousands of years they've built what are called kanats that draw water from the mountains to irrigate the city. And the neighborhood I live in is covered in trees. I mean, there are trees especially mine. I think the prettiest neighborhood. Whoops. This is the neighborhood I live in. Let me see. Oops.
Oh, oh, that
Uh,
is pretty. Wow.
Yeah, in the background there are palm trees and pomegranates, and the streets are lined with what are they called? Seville orange trees. It's very green, and bougainvilleas. I'd love to show you the rest of the neighborhood, but it's not really
Yeah.
the purpose of this. But no, it is very, very pretty, very beautiful.
Yeah. I really met some incredibly wonderful people from Morocco that
They're very, very nice, very
the
friendly people.
hospitality was incredible. Made some friends. We were
Yeah,
going out and playing pool. Pool was a
yeah.
big thing in all the
Still is.
little
Still is.
pubs. Everybody plays
Yeah.
pool, and we were I just had a spectacular time, and I could actually see myself one day living in Morocco. It's just a beautiful
Oh,
place.
well,
You can't say
absolutely.
you can't
And
say it
the
any
people,
better. It's
yeah.
so exotic and so
Yes.
unique, and you feel alive when you're there. It's just a really special place.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. One quick comment, if I may. When we started off this conversation, I put quotes around the Arab thing for Morocco because yes, it does consider itself an Arab country, but it is actually a Berber or
Yeah.
Amazigh, as I prefer.
Yeah.
The Amazigh people are mountain people, and
Mhm.
they are very reliable, very friendly, and trustworthy.
Yes.
Marrakesh, they kind of they've been a bit how should we say this, polluted by all this hordes of tourists who, they've over the years they've come to see as, in some cases, to see as people to swindle, let's say, or make them pay twice the regular price. But the stock, the culture is one of openness and reliability.
You just brought back a memory. When I was in Marrakesh, I was talking to this lady who's was Berber, and she had the garb on, and she was there with her son, and I think they were selling some kind of nuts or something like that. I can't
Hmm.
remember exactly, but we just had a great conversation. She spoke really good English, and she was like talking to her other family members, and then they said, "Hey, we want to invite you to our house tomorrow for dinner.
Mm,
To come to eat dinner with us tomorrow." And
mm.
next day I was actually leaving Marrakesh in the morning. So I couldn't, but it was just the greeting and the warmth and the hospitality was really, really wonderful. Um,
I got that also in Turkey, so it's similar
yes.
to Turkish.
Okay, so we talked about rentals. You pay 320 for a large two bedroom with you got an office and
Yeah.
a large living space. Um, and you could probably find some things in Marrakesh for around 200. Tell us a little, let's break down the costs on utilities and groceries. How much do you spend per month on utilities? Will people pay?
Well, utilities, it depends. We've made the choice of not having AC, air
Okay.
conditioning, which in the summer, I mean, it gets stupidly hot. We're talking above, it hits 50.
If you don't have air, Michael, how do you sleep at night when it's that hot?
Well, uh, if you basically what we do is we're not here during the summer.
I see.
And many people leave Marrakesh. And my wife's in tourism, and she's gobsmacked that there are still, people who are stupid enough to not check the temperatures and book a holiday in the summer in Marrakesh.
Mhm.
It's in July, August. It's ridiculous. It's you can't move unless you go out super early in the morning and late at night. It's just too hot, and with kids, it's actually physically dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not even allowed to go down into the desert in July and August as a
Wow.
tourist because it's just too hot. Coming back to your question about utilities, if you have air conditioning, it will quadruple, quintuple, and multiply by 4 or 5 your electricity bill. Without AC, we pay, oof, let's be honest, it's a bit ridiculous. I think we pay $40 a month on, I would say on average on electricity, and ooh, $20 a month on water. That's between the three of us plus well, we have a cleaning lady. She doesn't use the shower, but in the summer, when it's really hot, we had in the past put up an inflatable pool, so our water bill would go up, but we're still looking at, I mean, the washer bill and electricity bill I consider to be, both of them I considered to be negligible because we
Yeah.
don't have AC. If we had AC, the electricity bill would not be
Mm.
negligible.
What do you pay for Wi-Fi and cell phone there?
Oof. You would pay anything between 25 to $50 depending on what you're looking for. If you need if you're the type of like me, when when I'm doing interpretation, I need to have a stable upload, a solid upload. It's not available everywhere, but I could get something for $50 a month.
Okay. So that's Wi-Fi. How much you guys pay for cell?
My son has a cheap ass cell phone plan, 60, what am I saying? $6 a month
Okay.
for 2 hours of communication, 6 gigabytes of download, and they sell
Okay.
you these SMSs, but nobody uses them anymore because everybody's on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp, exactly.
Mm.
Okay, groceries. How much are groceries over there? What do you guys?
That Oh, since we last spoke, prices have gone up 20 to 30% on anything imported has gone up 20, 30%. So, going back to your question, we have a budget, I believe. So there's three of us, so three adults roughly,
Mhm.
now that my son is 16, and the cleaning lady who eats for us at lunch. So that's what, three person and one third. We are about I would say $110 a week, but we buy imported stuff. We buy imported cheese. All the cheese in Morocco is imported. We buy things like pesto. We used to buy peanuts, but they've gone up. The price has gone up.
Hmm.
It's doubled basically.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And how about restaurants? What do you budget for restaurants going out per month, and what can you get a meal for at a local typical neighborhood restaurant there?
Okay, so first part of your question, I don't actually go out. I don't eat
Yeah.
in restaurants, simply put, for two reasons. The first reason, because of my job, I'm often in conferences and I eat in hotels or whatnot, and I don't pay for that. But the second key reason, and I think this is something that's very important for anybody who's thinking of settling in Morocco, get a good cleaning lady slash cook, put her on the books, give her make sure that this person, very often it'll be the first time that they have a salary, as in as opposed to wage. A proper salary, which means a bank account, which means the opportunity to save money for a rainy day, which means that they're registered with the healthcare system, so that if they have a problem, they have some medical coverage. It will cost you an extra 30, 40 dollars a month, but it will make a difference to the person that you're hiring, and
Mm,
you will save a lot of money on restaurants, and you will get amazing food.
mm.
The one constant thing I've noticed: you don't eat as well in restaurants as you eat in people's homes. I use in Turkey. I thought the food was fantastic. It was
Yeah.
really nice. I used to go out in these cheap, yeah, workers' restaurants or
Hmm.
office workers' restaurants. Which, in response to your question, I suppose you can get a dish for some anywhere between $3 to $6, $7 for a decent meat and two veg dish. But the food that you will get at home from somebody who's cooked it in your kitchen with the the produce that you've bought or they've bought for you is beyond compare. We don't want to go out to a restaurant and spend. It was once we celebrated. We went out to this fancy expat restaurant. The steak was gorgeous. I agree. The steak was gorgeous. But there's a massive divide between the expat restaurants, which would be anywhere from $15 a pop without booze, for say a two-course meal, to you can go up to, wow, $150 per person. If you're talking about street food, you can eat. You mentioned Jamafna Square in Marrakesh. You can get
Yeah.
the cheapest you can get is 60 cents. You can get a vegetable soup.
In Marrakesh, they have rideshare like Uber.
Yes, in
Okay.
practice, it's trickier because just 2 days ago, I wanted to book not an Uber. They don't have Uber here. They have InDrive. My
Yeah.
area is not at all touristy, so the drivers are not interested at all. So that if you want to have access to that kind of services, I suggest that you live in the part of town called Giddies, which is a new town. Giddies, that's spelled G for Golf, U for Uniform, E for Echo, L for Lima, I for India, Z for Zulu. That's a new part of town, and yes, there's InDrive, but I've been told it's not as reliable as I don't use it a lot. I've been told it's not as reliable as it is in Casa or Rabat. I mean, it's almost like Casa is almost like a different country to Marrakesh because there's they've made a big effort in cleaning it up and making it more appealing, but is it really not for tourists? It's all about business, business,
Mhm.
business, and it's quite hectic. It used to be very full on, and at night you would really watch your step and you felt very nervous. Now it's much more quiet and cool. I've been told the Corniche, if you're willing to spend, $10 on a beer, you can have a good time, and there's more of a party scene, I suppose. I mean, Marrakesh has got a massive party scene, but for tourists, where there the beer is $10, $20 or something. It's ridiculous. I never go out to these places because it's
Yeah.
not my style and not my interest.
If people were to get around Marrakesh to move around the city, what do you think they'd have to budget per month? Is there any
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're one person moving around Marrakesh, I advise you to get a bicycle
just a
and
bike? Yeah.
yeah, and a good lock. Invest in a there's very little bicycle theft, but buying a bicycle is a great way around town. Avoid the big boulevards because the mopeds are a bloody nightmare. They just no regards for whatsoever for their own safety, let alone that of other people. And you learn. I know all the quiet streets, and it's fine.
Well, we've covered everything, Michael. Here's my last question for you. I mean, based on the information you shared, finding a nice apartment for 300, 200, whatever, it in Marrakesh in that area, I mean, when you put it all together, what can somebody live on in Marrakesh per month? Like a
Well, okay,
retiree
that's
heading
a good
down there.
question. Um, we I think we pay for our kids' school because state school is free, but quality is not to our satisfaction. Um, excluding, I think we did the maths, including the money that we pay for the cook and the cleaning lady. We are on, I think we're on a budget, depending what we include and exclude, we're on 1.5 to 2.1 thousand dollars a month, between
1.5.
1,500 and $2,100 a month.
So, and
Now that's
you're
for three people
that's for three people. So
and the school. And the
for the
school we pay.
solo retiree looking to move to Marrakesh, how much could he live on, do you think, per month?
In Marrakesh, to say you rent a proper modern flat and you've got air conditioning in the flat, you're all alone, and you don't pay somebody full time to live there, to work for you to clean. Um, you could $1,000 a month easily. Yeah,
Well, Michael Roberts, man, thank you so much for taking the time to
my
share this
pleasure. I
information.
think it's great. I'm looking forward to you calling me up in 2 years from now so that we can catch up.
We'll do it again, man. This is awesome.
Yeah,
I know it's great to see you. You look great. I'm glad that
thank you.
things are
I
going
think it's
well
the
out there.
light, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm glad everything's going well. And yeah, yeah. Well, thanks again for doing this, man. It's very, very helpful.
Okay. If people want to reach out to me, this is the name of my company in the background there, and this is actually a QR code. It's very cool. It's
Oh boy.
AI generated QR code, and no, just I say this just because then people can have my email address by
Yep.
scanning that QR code. I think I have to show it a bit
Yeah,
closer.
we'll put that in the description so everybody can
Right.
find you.
Oops.
And
There we go.
yep. Awesome, man.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity. And as I said, I look forward to speaking to you again in 2 years.
Yeah, man. All right, buddy. Well, you take care. I'll
You
talk to you
too.
soon.